everybody, welcome in. I'm Mark McLean. I'm glad you're here, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about knives, or shall we say knife in general. Generally speaking, the Norseman by Grimsmo Knives. John and Eric Grimsmo. This is an excellent flipper. In fact, it's John Grimsmo's very first knife design. This knife features a honeycomb pattern heat treat, or flame anodized, as some people call it. Either way, it's titanium, and that's what happens when you heat titanium. But this thing is just simply beautiful. The way you'd have to see it in real life, because video just doesn't do it justice. Got a lot to tell you about this knife, the Norseman. There's the lanyard that I got specifically for this one. The Nordic helmet, the Spartan guy. That one there was available on eBay, and I really am glad that I located it. I was fortunate. I wanted to go over the length of this knife, some of the specifications. I'll tell you all about that. I just wanted you to see some of the things that were done specifically on this knife. This knife is a couple of years old. To be exact, this knife is from 2013. As you can tell right here on the handle, the engraving right there, which says, I don't know if you can see that or not, custom made for, let's see, let me read it exactly. Custom made September 2013. And then over here it says for Mark McLean. Custom made 2013 for Mark McLean. And you say, yes, but I thought those knives were not customs. I thought those Norseman knives were mid-tex. Well, they are. This one, however, is a little bit different. This one was early when John was doing his finalizing in his computer for his CNC work. He had to complete his coding. He had done his last coding, C-O-D-E, code. He had done his last coding and finalized it as being the perfect knife. He said there was nothing else he could do to change and perfect it to make it any better after that. Well, one of the last things that he changed was the pivot. If you can see the pivot, they get these pivots and they're just round. They actually have a round top to them, sort of a dome-shaped top. They flatten them off, and then they inscribe the Norseman helmet guy on it. And what John noticed, he said that was an issue to him, because he's a little OCD, I guess, when it comes to knife making, which is good, don't get me wrong. So John said that it started bothering him, the fact that every time you would flip a Norseman open and you would look at the little Norseman guy on the pivot, he was noticing each time he flipped it, the Norseman guy would be pointing in a different direction. His head would be upside down, sometimes sideways, and John didn't like that. So what he did was, he figured out a way to sort of not really make it octagonal, but to shave some of the sides and the quadrants off. That way it fits in perfectly and doesn't move. Now the Norseman guy faces the same direction every time you flip it open. That was the final coating that he did on the CNC machine. This knife was part of that trial that came out, and the new batch, of course. So after he got to my knife, then he and I discussed what I wanted. He really went to bat for me. I wanted it to be green on this side, actually blue here and green on the clip. You can't see it in the screen. I know it doesn't come out very well, and it's got a few years on it here of wear, but it's still perfect in my opinion. So this was green, that was sort of a blue, and the standoffs, the barrel standoffs, these are green, and I wanted a Norseman engraved here, which is not something they normally do. So John did that for me as well, and he wrote on it, custom made, September 2013, for Mark McLean. And this knife is really special to me. This was my first Grail that I ever got. It's a chopper. Wow, this thing is still sharp. I have used it and I've cut all kinds of things with it, and it's still sharp. It's amazing. But this steel, I think, has a lot to do with it. It's RWL 34 steel, and that steel is obviously excellent at as far as sharpness goes. Edge retention is just spot on. I have a little bit of a sinus cold this morning, and I apologize. Please overlook that. Anyway, I call it a cleaver because when you release the lock mechanism there, the liner lock, I guess it's not really a liner, the frame lock, when you release that frame lock, I mean, if your finger is right here, a cleaver comes down, and wow, because of course, the ball bearings that he has. Now this RWL 34 steel Tanto tip style blade has an excellent look to it, I think. It's different. You either love the Norseman or you hate it. I don't see how anyone could hate this if they've never had one. You can see the CNC grind lines, and I even like that. It has the great look and features from the CNC machine grind lines, and the action on this flipper is fantastic. Superb. Excellent detent. Effortless deployment. Simply effortless. You don't, I mean, John said when I was talking to him about this, and he has since quoted this many times. Back when we were talking about this in 2013, John said, Hunter, it's buttery smooth. Buttery smooth. That's how he described it to me. He was right. It is buttery smooth. I loved this knife. And I mentioned that it does have some ball bearing in the pivot. It's a ball bearing pivot, and that of course makes it a little bit easier to flip and to close. All right, let's go over the specs, some of the specifications for this knife. The overall length from tip to stern, top to bottom, this knife is 8.625 inches. That's just about perfect for my hand size. Some people didn't like this knife because they said that it was too thin. It is thin, but you don't notice that. I mean, if you're working with this knife, like I said before, it's effortless. You don't notice it. I mean, it's a cutter. It really is a cutter. It's a slicer. And it's still amazingly sharp. I mean, very, very sharp. Yes, I've babied this knife. I admit it. I have babied this knife. Sure. I mean, I haven't safe queened it by any means. I haven't put it in a box and left it on the shelf and just not touched it. But I mean, you can tell that by looking at it. It's, you know, it's been used. But it would have held up, I think, with any type of treatment. Excuse me, with any type of treatment. Something else John has is a ceramic ball detent right in there. And that thing is just amazing. He makes them himself. He makes the bearings himself. And continuing, I was giving you the overall knife length. Now the blade length we'll do next is 3.625. The blade thickness, 12 thousandths. It's not a very thick blade, but you don't have to worry about breaking it by any means. I mean, that thing is heat treated perfectly. And that's evident when it comes to cutting with it. You know that it's a hard blade, very nicely hardened. The steel is perfect. As far as the grind is concerned, that's a hollow grind, Tanto style tip, and its handle is titanium, of course. We mentioned that earlier. I like the way it shines in the light. Like I said, this video does not do this knife justice. I wish you could see this. It's a right-hand knife, this one is. Some would say this would be the perfect gentleman's folder. I would say that. This would be the perfect gentleman's folder. If you were a church-going person and you wanted a knife to take to church, I'm not sure the lanyard part would be that outstanding because of the fact that it's going to hang outside your pocket. It is a tip-up knife, carry. You stick the clip down like this, and it goes all the way into your pocket up to that point right there. So this, my friends, that's what you will see sticking out of your pocket. That's all you will see. That's how much goes down into the pocket. It's a deep carry knife, and I like that. And like I said, if you have a lanyard on it, it's going to be noticed. So that's no biggie with me. I don't care. That's part of my style. Look at me, baby. I got a lanyard. A lot of people don't even know what that is hanging out of your pocket. I've seen people at Walmart staring at me before and thinking, what the hell is that? I don't know what the hell that is. What the hell is that? I don't know what the hell that is. That was an old Saturday Night Live joke. Two guys were portraying what rednecks would say were they to find a flying saucer landing. That was funny. Good stuff. Anyway, this is a manual type knife. That's the type. It's a manual flipper. The opener is a flipper. It's a flipper knife, like I said, and it also opens with a thumb stud. Thumb stud. And it fires out too, baby. You heard it, didn't you? There's the thumb stud. He has since produced these Norsemen for only a very few people without the thumb stud. Some people didn't want it. I don't know why. I mean, people have different thoughts and different ideas, and that's okay. That's what makes you you, and that's what makes me me. But I like the thumb stud. It fires it out, baby. It is out. Watch. Hi-yo! Beautiful frame lock knife, flipper from John Grimsmo in Canada. Ontario is where they're from. He and his brother Eric have been working diligently. They've got a new shop now. They've upgraded. They've done everything they can to make sure that they continue making the best knives available. They are top quality. They have a new knife out called the Rask. It's a little short for me, so I'm not concerned with getting one. I would love to have had one, guys. I would, just for the collection. But at that price point, it's not the kind of knife that I want to just put up and save queen, you know. It's not a boker, for crying out loud, you know. It's definitely not a boker. And I have nothing against bokers, don't get me wrong. I love bokers. Or I wouldn't have the damn hat, that's for sure. But that's my review of my Norseman today. I appreciate you guys watching. I got a request actually yesterday, and I was telling them that I was producing one tonight. And I appreciate any requests. If you guys have something you'd like to see, let me know. In fact, I say that on the closing outro that you'll see at the end of the program. Something you'd like to see, let me know. Just feel free to email me, mirrorededges@yahoo.com. Thanks for watching once again. You get out, have some fun. If you get the chance, grab you a Norseman. They're some sweet knives, baby. Let me tell you, they really are. Have a good one. Peace.